Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was a Disney animated series that ran from 1988 to 1990 and featured the exploits of, wait for it, just wait a couple seconds longer. I know the anticipation's building up. You can't believe this. You're not going to believe when I tell you this. Chip and Dale, the delightful animated chipmunks that were a staple of Disney for many, many years, but hadn't been anything since 1956. And then Disney, their board members are sitting around one day, and then somebody pitched them, hey, let's dust off Chip and Dale and put them in a detective setting for some fucking reason. Great, that's a good idea. But let's add some new characters, because why the fuck not? Kids will love, Gadget, a strong, independent mouse woman that don't need no man, and she fixes things because she's named Gadget. Do you fucking get it? And also Monty, an Australian mouse, or rat as it were, that loves cheese. He loves cheese way too much. And also Zipper, a fly that doesn't talk, because every series needs that. Everybody needs a fly that doesn't talk. If only the Jeff Goldblum version of the fly had somebody that didn't fucking talk. It certainly didn't have anybody that was a very good writer on that staff. Nevertheless, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers had life and energy and enthusiasm, and even though it only ran for a couple of years, fucking loved it. I mean, the theme song alone, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale, when there's danger. I mean, come on. The theme's got to be stuck in your head, especially if you're around my age. I mean, hell, even if you're younger and your parents showed you this, that means that you probably shouldn't be watching this, because if you're young enough to have parents that were around to watch this, holy fucking shit. That series, though, was fucking great. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers in 2022 is a Disney Plus original. It is a complete and utter desecration and abomination compared to that original source material. I'm sorry, did I tip my hand already and basically describe that I didn't really like this movie very fucking much? Basically, what they did is they took the idea of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers and they just decided to burn it all to the fucking ground and then take the characters and make it like the Tom and Jerry movie that came out last year. Remember that? Where they completely wasted Chloe Grace Moretz and also the Tom and Jerry characters that were middling at best, in all honesty. Chip and Dale, I don't know if anybody was really clamoring for a remake or a reboot or whatever of this, but I was hoping that they would at least capture some of the magic. I mean, sure, I'm 41 years old. I was 7 when the series came out, and I fondly remember it. Fuck, I even had the NES video game that I loved back when I was younger, but granted, I mean, playing that with any kind of fresh eyes, it probably wouldn't be all that good, but I was a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers fan. I was really hoping this would be good, but I went in with tempered expectations because Disney Plus originals they've been hit and miss, let's be perfectly honest. They've done good with Soul and Turning Red and that kind of stuff, but they also did the cheaper by the dozen remake that nobody fucking asked for. You can check out my review of that if you'd like. This is written by Akira Schaefer, who did some TV specials, some SNL stuff, and also music videos, as well as comedies like Hot Rod and The Watch. It was also written by 2 people that did the Doolittle movie. Not the one with Eddie Murphy, the Titanic box office bomb that starred Robert Downey Jr. with an unplaceable accent. I can't even fucking believe that movie fucking got made. And it was really, really fucking bad. This, however, this might actually be worse than the Tom and Jerry movie. Because Tom and Jerry was a bad idea in general. This had at least some nostalgia to it. And I don't even think matched the level that Scoob achieved with the nostalgia, which had a weird animation style. This has Andy Samberg, who I've not been really a fan of, but whatever. I mean, some people might like him, so okay, you might be enticed to watch it because of him. John Mulaney, who was the voice of Chip, and Andy was the voice of Dale. And Kiki Lane, who was Ellie, she was in The Old Guard. She's also been in other stuff, but I only remember her from The Old Guard. And Will Arnett was Sweet Pete. More on that here in a bit. And also Eric Bana was Monterey Jack. Whatever the fuck happened to Eric Bana? After the Hulk movie and after a few other things, the Ang Lee version of the Hulk, he just completely disappeared. So yeah, this movie basically tells the origin story of Chip and Dale. And then we see how they are 32 years after the series ended. So yeah, they're probably going to do another reboot of this in 32 years. I'm going to be 73 and possibly reviewing it. Probably not, because I might be legally dead by that point. And this movie was certainly legally dead upon arrival. This was not very good. The writing was atrocious. The animation looks like shit. No wonder they didn't release this in theaters. They basically took animated characters and melded them with the real world. It was like Who Framed Roger Rabbit if none of the talent from Who Framed Roger Rabbit actually had anything to do with this presentation. And even Who Framed Roger Rabbit wasn't all that great, but was definitely creepy and was definitely fun. This is more like the Cool World version of Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. Yeah, and comparing it to Cool World. That's not very good. For anybody that's seen Cool World, all 5 of the people in the world still alive, yeah, it wasn't very good. So, when a friend of theirs goes missing, they decide to reunite because they've been separated for a while. Separate Rangers, Chip and Dale. Well, the only danger is in this script. So we start in 1982. We see how Dale arrives at school. Chip is a friend of his. There's these weird small tables. Everybody just lives among these animated characters. There were animated students there, an animated teacher, and the comedy was very, very missable. In fact, there were times where the comedy actually actively made me angry. I cannot imagine too many kids finding this entertaining, especially if you watch the original series. If the parents showed them the original series and then showed them this, even the worst episode of Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and showed them this, the kids might actually cry. I mean, I know I would if I was a kid because this was fucking atrocious. So, the whole idea is they're telling this kind of meta story where they, had separated after a while because Chip wanted to keep doing the series. Dale wanted to do his own thing, and the pilot that he was going to have for Dale, I believe it was Dale 07 or something like that. He was... It was a Bond-like thing. 00 Dale. That's what it was. I was pushing a lot of stupidity out of my goddamn mind. That ended up going tits up. And now, Chip had 3D surgery, so now he looks like the Alvin and the Chipmunks character. Remember the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie? And then the sequel? Remember how they actually somehow managed to make a sequel out of that because idiots decided to watch it? Because kids are morons. Seriously, I don't think you understand how much I fucking loathe children. I actually watched both of those. I had a friend at the time, and she wanted to watch the sequel in theaters and sit there with her kids. And let me tell you, that was atrocious. So enough flashbacks. Let's talk about this movie. Yeah, he got the CGI surgery so he could look cool and everything. And he's got this blog and he's got this stuff. And none of this is any good. And then they eventually find out that Monterey Jack, owed a bunch of money to this Valley gang, and now they must collect. They came to collect. My God, they're Leo Rush. No, that's unfair. These anime characters are taller than Leo Rush. Non-wrestling fans have no fucking idea who I'm talking about. And we then get a comedy about, reboots and everything. Nobody wants to see this reboot, like how they did Fast and Furious Babies and Mr. Doubtfire with Meryl Streep and Batman vs. E.T. This is actual stuff that they put in this movie about Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Jesus Christ. Also, Gadget and Zipper got together and had a bunch of kids. I mean, I'm not really spoiling much of anything, but it was what it was. I don't know why the fuck they did that. They had a bunch of fly mouse babies. It's a good thing that she was, the bigger of the two and everything. Because God forbid, if Zipper had been the big rat and impregnated a female fly, we might have had a really, really bad situation. Help me, help me. You did this to me, you bastards. Has it come to pass at all? Have you figured out that I really fucking hated this movie? It's just fucking atrocious. The goddamn crime story is bad. Everything about this just misses. It's utterly pointless. It has too long of a runtime. To take a show that was 22 minutes, so you could combine 4 episodes of this and have the runtime of this movie. You combine 4 episodes of the original series and run as long as this. I mean, a little bit longer if you include the credits, but quite frankly, I don't. There's no post-credit thing. This movie just is an utter abomination. Completely pointless. I mean, sure, I should have tempered my expectations, and maybe even down to the Earth's core, but just ended up being so fucking abysmal to the point I was actively getting angry whenever they would try to do jokes because it wasn't funny. None of the voice acting was good. The way they include the characters and just shoehorn people in various characters like South Park characters and other characters that Disney owns the IP to now and whatever or any of this stuff. Like, I mean, they even had Phineas and I believe the mother from Phineas and Ferb. If they include Phineas and Ferb in this, I might have actually, upped it a little bit because at least Phineas and Ferb were entertaining. Have I beaten it in the skull lately, that I hated this fucking movie? Absolutely hate it. I'm going to get into spoilers. I'm going to, God, this movie made me upset. It's one of the worst movies of the year by far. It's on Disney Plus if you want to check it out. 3, 2, 1, and fucking spoilers. Okay. So Chip and Dale have to reunite. Chip's still upset at Dale because Chip's selling insurance. I was half expecting a Geico sponsorship to pop up. And there's this thing called the Valley Gang, run by Sweet Pete, who is, and by the way, the comedy's total ass, Sweet Pete is, remember Bobby Driscoll, if you've never actually, Driscoll, who was the original voice of Peter Pan in the 1953 animated movie? Read up on him and then look at the portrayal of this and then just see why it's fucking offensive. His contract was terminated shortly after the movie. I guess Disney deemed him too old. Unfortunately, he was blacklisted from Hollywood. He did have personal issues, but because of that, I think he was 16 at the time. He died in 1968. He was 31 years old. He died homeless, penniless. It's really, really sad. Some people don't handle the fall from grace and, fame really all that well. But the way Disney did him, and I believe his own mother even, didn't treat him all that well. It was really, really sad. Now you take a look at how he was portrayed with that in mind. And he's just out of shape, he's got the 5 o'clock shadow and stuff like that. And he wants to basically reboot characters, bootleg them essentially, and help them pay off the debts that he owes that they owe to his gang, by making him star in a whole bunch of like bootleg animated movies from China and other countries and stuff like that and whatever. And that might have been an interesting premise. Unfortunately, this movie fails to capitalize on that. Oh yeah, and also just Disney mocking the fact that Bobby Driscoll was treated the way he was. But then again, you shouldn't be too surprised that Disney has these kind of practices. Disney can make some delightful movies. Turning Red was really goddamn good. But there's a seedy goddamn bit of shit when it comes to Disney. Also, there's a Coke Bear. The Coke Bear is one of his guards. Why? Why the fuck not? Also, the way they bootleg people is to put them in this weird, very, very large, like, tube area that goes through a whole bunch of lasers and gives them a freaking reboot, bootleg, whatever. And also, they erase their mouths so they can't talk. And then they give them a new mouth, but then they still can't talk. And they even did that with Flounder. They're going to do it with Monty because of the cheese. And then we just get a whole bunch of bad comedy and Chip and Dale trying to, bond. And nobody really cares about any of this shit. Also, there's a cop named Ellie that was a fan of the show, but may be corrupt. There's also a putty policeman. Why the fuck wouldn't there be? And it turns out basically that the putty guy, the putty cop, the putty captain, as it were, Captain Putty, as it were, Captain K. Putty, was in on the whole goddamn thing, and there's a reason why all these animated characters are being taken, because he was on the take because he liked the money, because he's a corrupt cop. And then it turns out that the episode When You Fish Upon a Star that was shown in the beginning, where the fat cat got hit in the head with a ton of bricks and everything, that should have killed him. In retrospect, watching some of these shows, it's amazing that we didn't try out some of that stuff on our siblings. But anyway, enough of that. Maybe our parents raised us smart enough to know not to fucking do that. Don't hit people in the head, kids. What the fuck's your problem, you little shits? Moving on from that. They have to rescue them. At one point, Dale finally has to, rise up back on his feet. Also, there's Ugly Sonic in this. Yes, the Ugly Sonic before the reboot, because funny. And he was at a Comic-Con thing. There were a bunch of other people at Comic-Con. There was one point with He-Man and Skeletor that provided the only goddamn laugh, because curse you, He-Man! And so more like Skeletor on helium. But Dale has to rise up. And he has to save Chip and save the day. Then we get a fight with the putty captain, Ellie. This is stuff that was actually put in a kid's movie, by the way. And then she freezes him and with an extinguisher and then tips him over and he shatters. And they manage to save the day by destroying the laser machine, or making it to where the laser machine fries the Coke Bear and also turns Peter Pan, Sweet Pete as it were, into an amalgamation of a bunch of characters with a cannon arm and a cat head. And oh no, the cat head used the birds to distract. They hit each other on the head to try to get the little Tweety bird tweet going over their head. And these birds are sleeping in their birdhouse. And the wife says, oh, just don't answer it or whatever. This is our life. We have to do it. Who the fuck wrote this? Oh, yeah, these two idiots that did Doolittle. That should never be allowed to write anything ever again. Go find something else to do, you hacks. And then they imply that Dale gets shot by a cannonball because he came in like a cannonball. But oh no, he used a Pog from the collection that they had because Chip and Dale were back in Pog form. I used to have the Pogs, believe it or not. I don't have them anymore. They got damaged in a flood in the shed in the backyard. But nevertheless, they weren't worth anything anyway. It turns out that, the power of friendship helped them do, what they needed to do. Also, Gadget and Zipper show up for all of maybe 5 fucking minutes to do the plane thing for more fan service. I believe Zipper is voiced by Keegan-Michael Key. That guy will literally be in anything. I mean, and he's funny. I don't understand why he does shit like this. So, they do a really bad joke at the end after everything's okay, and then the worse the joke, the longer the laugh. Too bad. There were no fucking good jokes in this. Fuck this goddamn movie. Fuck this goddamn atrocity. Yeah, Chip and Dale Rescue Range. Somebody need to rescue this movie from being a fucking abomination that it was. Guy, I had to pause this several times and just walk away and say, do I really want to finish this? Do I really want to? It's one of the worst movies of the year. I'm thinking about it more. It might be my worst movie of the year. We will see. I've seen a lot of good shit this year. This wasn't it. This wasn't it, Chief, as the kids used to say. Anyway, agree, disagree. F, by the way, F, just in case you didn't fucking get that. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.